Hello and welcome back to the Art and Science of Aging Well. I'm Dr. Bharat Desai. We are continuing our series on osteoporosis. In our last episode, I explained that constant bone remodeling is the reason your bones stay strong. We identified the various actors involved in this bone remodeling. But by far the most influential actor, the GC, the General Contractor of Bone Remodeling, is mechanical stress. Think of your bones as a 24/7 construction site, and mechanical load is a GC who gives the work orders. When you load your bones, for example, by lifting a heavy weight or running, it causes tiny fluid shifts inside the microscopic canals of your bones. And this fluid movement is detected by the sensors embedded in the bones. And those are called osteocytes, the site foremen. These foremen immediately start a precisely timed three-phase work order. Phase 1, recruitment. So this foreman radios the demolition crew, osteoclasts, to clear out old stress bones. At the same time, he keeps a stop work order active, a protein called sclerosin, so the builders don't get in the way. Okay, so phase 2, handover. As the demolition crew dissolves the bone, they release chemical breadcrumbs, you call it, into the pit. And this acts as a GPS signal for the next crew. Phase 3, the green light. Once the site is clear, the foreman flips the switch now. He cuts off that sclerostin stop signal and activates the WNT pathway, WNT pathway, the green light for the building crew, which are the osteoblasts. They move in and reinforce the bone precisely at the site marked by those chemical signals. But what happens if there is no load? Mechanical silence. Well, without orders from the general contractor, the foreman assumes the structure is no longer needed. And your body views bone as an expensive tissue with high energy maintenance. Our body is a master of efficiency and will not pay for armor you are not using. So, in mechanical silence, the foreman keeps that sclerostin stop signal on indefinitely, freezing the builders. Meanwhile, the demolition crew keeps working to mine the skeleton for calcium, phosphorus, and bicarbonate to keep your heart beating and your blood pH stable. So, your body literally melts down its own foundation, the skeleton, to save the energy and keep the lights on. So, to keep the bone, you have to prove to the general contractor that you need it. Use it or lose it is not just a catchy phrase, it is your body's universal motto for survival. We see the extreme proof of this in astronauts. In zero gravity, their site foreman detects total mechanical silence. So, without these vital fluid shifts, the body decides the skeleton is not needed, is a metabolic waste. So, the result, astronauts can lose bone mass at a staggering rate, 1 to 2% every single month, nearly 10 times faster than a postmenopausal woman on Earth. So remember, without a constant work order from GC, your body simply melts the foundation to save energy. I cannot overemphasize this. Mechanical stress is the single most powerful driver of bone remodeling. To protect your skeleton, it is imperative to understand how this mechanical load actually functions. So, your bones don't respond to just any stress or any movement. To trigger a new work order from the site foreman, the stress must meet three specific criteria. First, dynamic. The load must be moving and changing. Static weight is just the background noise. Dynamic movement creates the fluid shifts in the bone, which are needed by these sensors. The second is high magnitude. The load must be heavy enough to challenge your existing structure. If it is very weak, very light load, bones are not going to remodel. They might just stay status quo. So, because if there is not much struggle, body will say there is no reason to upgrade the skeleton. And the third is high rate. This is the secret weapon. Impact, speed, and the rate of landing are often more important than the weight itself. Your bone is stimulated more by the deceleration, hitting the ground, than acceleration. So jumping up is okay, but jumping down is one which creates the bone stress. Okay. So that's why climbing downstairs is actually more osteogenic, means it's more for the bone growth than climbing up. It is the sharp braking force, the thud, that sends the loudest signal to the builders to reinforce the site. And without that high rate impact, the fluid stays still and the builder stays home. Three forces. The meaningful bone loading falls into three categories: compression, tension, pulling, and torsion, the twisting. So, compression is the pillar load. This is the force traveling straight through the bone. And tension is the muscle pulling on the bone. This is the strongest signal. So, muscles act like a guy wire, the pulling on the bone and stimulating growth. And torsion is the twisting, rotational stress. That is also good, strong signal. This strengthens the internal structure and improves stability. Now, boredom and reset. What is that? Well, your bone cells do get bored almost instantly. The scientific research by Dr. Charles Turner and others have proven that bone cells become desensitized, effectively deaf, after only about 40 to 60 repetitions of the same movement. To sensitize the sensors into building new bone, you need, it's called stochastic loading, which is an unpredictable, non-repetitive, and multi-directional force. This is why 3 minutes of intense loading twice a day is infinitely better for your bones than an hour of leisurely walking. And to reset their sensing, you need about 10 seconds micro reset. Micro rest, you want to call it. So research shows that inserting a tiny pause, just about 10 seconds between each repetition, can multiply the bone building signal by up to 14 times. Remember that. And then there is an 8-hour long rest. It takes about 6 to 8 hours of recovery for those sensors to regain their sensitivity. This is why morning and evening sessions are gold standard. 24-hour rule. High impact like sprinting, jumping, or any kind of high intensity interval training can cause micro cracks that need more time to repair. So in that situation, you should at least have 24 hours between these intense sessions to allow the bone matrix to stabilize. If you do too frequent high intensity, it's going to crack the bone and causes overall damage over the years. Now the post-menopausal reality. Estrogen amplifies the bone's sensitivity to these signals. So after menopause, the response is reduced, meaning you need more targeted loading to achieve the same benefits. So you have to really work out more. So, what is the bone building exercise program? A quick but vital word of caution. Before starting any aggressive exercise program, it is very essential to understand that bone loading must be gradually progressive. Your starting point depends entirely on your current health, your age, and fitness level. If you have fractured the bones or diagnosed with severe osteoporosis, please speak with your physical therapist or personal trainer first. I highly recommend working with a certified personal trainer to ensure your form is perfect and to avoid any injury. Remember, the goal is to challenge the bone, not to overwhelm. If the load is too much and too soon, you don't build, you fracture. So let's start with lifestyle and activities of daily routine. What you can do to implement this program. Power rise. What is the goal for that? Explosive vertical compression for the hips and spine. How to do it? Sit on a firm chair and without using your arms, stand up as fast as possible. Do about 10 reps, few times a day, maybe twice a day. Wait 10 seconds before each rep. Now, if the beginners use a higher chair, you might have to have some support. As you get stronger, then you can do without the arm holding. Advanced user can use a weight on the chest to get a more stronger signal. Stair descent. Try to do bare feet. And the goal is high rate deceleration impact for the lower limbs. So walk down the stairs slowly and barefoot. 1 to 2 flights if you have stairs at home, twice a daily or more. Use the handrail for safety if needed. Then the next exercise is suitcase carry, meaning asymmetrical load to force the guy wire pull on the spine and the hip. So how to do it? Hold a heavy weight in one hand and walk 30 to 60 seconds while keeping shoulders perfectly level. Do not lean. 2 to 3 rounds per side, couple times a day if you can achieve it. Then there's one leg balance. And what is the goal? Torsion and rotational stability for the hip. How to do it? It's simple. Stand on the one leg, add torso twist for difficulty, 30 to 60 seconds per leg, couple times a day more. The next is overhead press and arm raises. What is the goal? Tension and compression for the shoulders and humerus. How to do it? Simple. Push weight directly overhead to lift and lower. Pause for 10 seconds in between. 3 sets. Then the trampoline bouncing is very good. Jumping jacks, jumping ropes, all those are good exercises because that G-force loading is the strongest signal. So bounce on a rebounder or platform or jumping, just whatever you can do, but be careful about avoiding injury, right? Then the grip strength is linked directly to hip bone density. So you can use dead hang or towel squeeze or buy a grip strengthener. Suitcase carries one hand, farmers carries both hand. Maximum axial compression for the entire skeleton and the spine. Hold heavy weights in both hands, take small control steps for 60 seconds or even longer. 3 rounds, 5 rounds, depending on your ability. Focus on a tall spine and a crushing grip and make sure you are stable and steady. Only add weight when the form is perfect. Then there is a weighted squats. You squat with the weight in the hand and maximum magnitude compression for the pillars. So it gives you really good compression of the spine. So you squat until your thighs are parallel to the floor. 3 sets of 5 to 8 reps, 10 reps. Then the deadlifts, Roman chair, back extensions. And that is massive tension signal for the vertebra, the Roman chair in the gym. How to do it? Lower your torso, then pull back up until your body is straight line. And you can do 3 sets, 8 to 12, 2 to 3 times a week. Cable rows, pulling tension for the mid back and the ribs. Pull the handle or rubber band towards your stomach, squeezing shoulder blades together. And you can do 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps, right? The chaos run, what is that? Change in the direction, zigzag, because that is very crucial, because you are changing the direction. That's the strongest signal. So goal is to change the direction so the bones get new load. So while jogging or walking, suddenly pivot to 90-degree or even a zigzag fashion, right? Or stop and go exercises, especially the tennis, the pickleball, all those are good exercises for the bone. Be careful about injuring your tendons and muscles. Okay. Squat jumps. So you squat and jump as high as you can, and that is even very strong signal. Land firmly on the midfoot. Okay. 5 reps, 10 seconds between the jumps. Then you have running and sprinting in between. That is also massive signal for lower body. So walking is so okay, but running and sprinting is the really gold mine for the bone density or bone strength, I would say. So conclusion, you don't need a rigid protocol. Bone health is built in bouts. Okay. And you have to start at early age. What you actually do depends entirely on your current health, your age, and what is practical and feasible for you. Goal is not to do everything every day. It is to find the movement that fits your life and perform them with maximal impact and safety. For example, morning wake up call. While the coffee brews, do 5 power rises. If your joint feels good, follow with 5 squat jumps or trampoline work. While you brush your teeth, do a one leg balance. And use suitcase carry for the grocery or any other weight. Turn putting items away into overhead presses, right? Walk down your stairs bare feet, and all those things you can incorporate in your daily living. The gym and the outdoors, when you have dedicated time, focus on high yield resistive training. Roman chair, deadlifts, weighted squats, and cable rows. On your walks, break the silence with stochastic run, as is a chaos run, zigzag, pivots, brief sprints. So this is all about your general contractor. In the next video, we're going to go deeper into the nutrition, the essential raw materials required for bone modeling, right? Just the work order doesn't mean bone will be stronger. You need good, strong materials. Thank you so much for watching. And if you found this information useful, please subscribe, like, and share this with your family and friends. Do not forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when new videos are published. I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below with your suggestions, questions, or any specific topics you would like me to cover in the future videos. I will try my best to address all of your questions. Until then, stay curious and stay healthy. Thank you.